Hey everyone, have you ever thought about which countries keep Thailand strong and running? Without them, Thailand might face big problems like economic collapse. Today we count down the top 10 countries Thailand can't survive without, from history to 2025. We'll look at trade, tourism, investments, and more with facts and percentages. Make sure to like, subscribe, and watch till the end to find out number 1. Number 10. Russia. Russia is important for Thailand's tourism, which helps the economy a lot. Historically, ties started in the late 1800s when King Rama V visited Russia in 1897, building friendship. During the Cold War, relations were cool because Thailand sided with the US, but after the Soviet Union ended in 1991, things warmed up with more visits and deals. By the 2000s, Russia became a key tourism source as Russians loved Thai beaches to escape cold winters. In 2024, Russia sent 1.7 million tourists to Thailand, about 5% of total arrivals. That's huge, since tourism makes up around 12% of Thailand's GDP. Without Russia, Thailand would lose billions of dollars in revenue from hotels, food, and shops. Trade is small, but growing in energy and arms. Russia sells oil and gas, with imports at 2% of Thailand's energy needs. In 2025, with global tensions, Russia-Thailand ties strengthened with more flights and joint events. If cut off, tourism drops, jobs vanish in places like Phuket, and energy prices rise, hurting everyday life. Plus, military deals help Thailand's defense. Losing Russia means less diverse visitors and higher costs, pushing Thailand toward collapse in key sectors. Number 9. India. India and Thailand share deep roots from ancient times, with Indian culture influencing Thai art, religion, and language since the 3rd century BC through traders and monks. Formal ties began in 1947 after India's independence, but grew stronger in the 1990s with India's Look East policy. Economically, India is a rising trade partner and tourism giant. In 2024, bilateral trade hit $18 billion in value, with India taking 3.3% of Thailand's exports like chemicals and gems. Thailand imports 2% of its machinery and textiles from India. Tourism-wise, India sent 2.1 million visitors in 2024, about 6% of total, loving cheap flights to Bangkok and beaches. This boosts GDP by filling hotels and markets. Investments from India in tech and pharma grew 15% in 2024. Historically, during World War II, Indian troops were in Thailand under British rule, but post-war, focus shifted to peace. By 2025, free trade talks aim to double trade to $35 billion. Without India, Thailand loses affordable imports, tourist cash, tourism is 12% GDP, and job-creating investments. Exports drop, affecting factories, and cultural exchanges fade, weakening ties in ASEAN. Economy shrinks, unemployment rises, leading to possible collapse in growth sectors. Number 8. South Korea. South Korea and Thailand have ties since 1958, starting with military help during the Korean War when Thailand sent troops. Post-war, economic links grew in the 1980s as Korea invested in Thai factories. Today, Korea is a top trade and tourism partner. In 2024, trade volume was $16 billion, with Korea buying 3% of Thailand's exports like cars and electronics. Thailand gets 4% of its imports from Korea, mainly tech parts. Tourism, 1.8 million Koreans visited in 2024, about 5.3% of total, drawn to golf and spas. This supports 12% GDP from tourism. FDI from Korea hit 10% of total inflows in 2024, in auto and electronics. Historically, during the 1997 Asian crisis, Korea's recovery inspired Thailand. By 2025, joint ventures in electric vehicles grew 20%. Without Korea, Thailand loses tech imports, export markets, affecting 58% export-driven GDP, and tourists, causing job losses in manufacturing, employs 20% workforce, and services. Investments dry up, slowing innovation, and defense ties weaken. Overall, economy could shrink 2 to 3%, risking collapse in key industries. Number 7. Indonesia. Indonesia and Thailand, both ASEAN founders in 1967, have neighborly ties since ancient trade routes in the 1300s. Historically, they shared Hindu-Buddhist influences, but rivalries arose over sea trade. Post-WPUR, relations improved with anti-communist pacts. Economically, Indonesia is vital for trade and energy. In 2024, trade reached $22 billion, with Indonesia supplying 4% of Thailand's oil and gas imports. Thailand exports 3.6% of goods like rice and cars to Indonesia. As ASEAN partners, they share 15% of regional trade. Tourism is smaller, but 0.5 million Indonesians visited in 2024. Investments grew 12% in palm oil and mining. By 2025, joint sea patrols boosted security. Without Indonesia, Thailand loses cheap energy. Oil is 10% imports. export markets, and ASEAN unity for bargains. Food prices rise without rice deals, affecting 70% of farmers. Border issues could flare, hurting stability. Economy, reliant on 58% exports, shrinks, jobs lost in trade hubs, leading to potential collapse in regional power. Number 6, Singapore. Singapore and Thailand connected since the 1800s as British colonies neighbors, but formal ties started in 1965. They co-founded ASEAN in 1967 for peace. Singapore is a finance and trade hub for Thailand. In 2024, trade was $20 billion, with Singapore handling 3.4% of exports like electronics. Its top FDI source at 27% of inflows, $10 billion in 2024 in banks and tech. Tourism, 1 million Singaporeans visited, 2.8% of total. Historically, during 1997 crisis, Singapore helped with loans. By 2025, digital economy pacts grew trade 10%. Without Singapore, Thailand loses investment. FDI is 10% GDP boost. Trade routes and tourists. Finance sector weakens, exports drop, 58% GDP from trade, jobs in logistics vanish. ASEAN weakens, security risks rise. Economy could fall 4%, causing collapse in modern sectors. Number 5, Vietnam. Vietnam and Thailand have a history of rivalries since the 1700s over places like Laos, but they became friends in 1976 after the Vietnam War. During the Cold War, there were tensions, but things got better in the 1990s when Vietnam joined ASEAN in 1995. Now they are close trade partners. In the first half of 2025, trade between them reached about $10 billion in value, with Thailand exporting 5% of its goods to Vietnam, like fruits and machinery. Thailand imports 3.5% of its needs from Vietnam, mainly electronics and textiles. Tourism is growing, with around 1 million Vietnamese visitors in 2025 so far, drawn to beaches and cheap flights. Investments from Vietnam and Thailand grew 10% in border areas. In May 2025, they upgraded ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, aiming for $25 billion trade by 2030. Without Vietnam, Thailand would lose key export markets. Exports make 58% of GDP, cheap imports raising prices for 40% of people, and ASEAN support. Jobs in factories, 20% workforce drop, security issues might return, and economy could shrink 3%, leading to collapse in regional trade. Number 4, Malaysia. Malaysia and Thailand are neighbors with shared history from 1400s kingdoms. They became official friends in 1957 and helped start ASEAN. Trade is big. In 2025, volume hit $25 billion so far, with Malaysia supplying 5% of Thailand's imports like oil and electronics. Thailand sends 4.5% of exports there, such as rubber and food. Tourism is huge. Malaysians are top visitors with 2.5 million in the first half of 2025, about 15% of total arrivals. This helps tourism, which is 12% of GDP. Investments from Malaysia make up 8% of FDI in factories and energy. Historically, there were border fights in the 2000s, but now peace with joint patrols. In 2025, talks for high-speed rail boosted ties. Without Malaysia, Thailand loses tourists, causing empty hotels and job losses in services, employs 30% people, energy supplies, oil 10% needs, and border trade supporting 20% local economy. Prices rise, unrest could happen, economy shrinks 5%, risking collapse in neighbor relations. Number 3, Japan. Japan and Thailand have ties since 1887. Japan took over Thailand in World War II but paid back after and became a big helper. In the 1980s, Japan invested a lot after a money deal, helping Thailand grow 9.5% a year. In 2025, trade is $50 billion so far, with Japan taking 8% of Thailand's exports like cars and getting 9% imports such as tech parts. FDI from Japan is 15% of total in autos and electronics. Tourism, about 0.5 million Japanese visited in first half, loving culture and food. By 2025, new tech deals grew EV chains 15%. Without Japan, Thailand loses high-tech imports. 20% manufacturing relies on it. Export spots, 58% GDP from trade, and investments creating jobs. Auto sector employs 10%. Economy could drop 7%, factories close, leading to collapse in industry strength. Number 2, United States. The US and Thailand signed a treaty in 1833, one of the oldest in Asia. They were allies in the Cold War, with US giving aid, and Thailand is a non-NATO ally since 2003. In the first half of 2025, bilateral trade reached about $40 billion, despite new tariffs threats from August 2025 that could hit 36% on Thai goods. The US buys 20% of Thailand's exports like electronics and food, while Thailand imports 5% from the US, such as planes and soy. Military ties include joint exercises for security. Tourism, Around 0.6 million Americans visited in the first half of 2025, down slightly amid global drops. FDI from the US is about 10% of total, but declined in Q1 2025 due to policies. In July 2025, Thailand offered zero tariffs on many US imports to ease tensions. Without the US, Thailand loses major markets. Exports are 58% of GDP, defense support, and tourists boosting 12% GDP. Economy could shrink 10%, jobs in factories vanish, security weakens, leading to collapse. Number 1. China. China and Thailand have ties from the ancient Silk Road, with official relations starting in 1975. Ties grew strong in the 2000s as China became a big economy. In the first half of 2025, trade hit around $70 billion, with China taking 12% of Thailand's exports like fruits and rubber, and sending 23% of imports such as phones and machines. This led to a $22 billion deficit for Thailand in the first 5 months. Tourism. Chinese visitors fell to about 2.3 million in the first half, 13.6% of total arrivals, down 34% due to China's economy issues and safety worries. FDI from China tops 25%, with $180 million invested in the first 4 months in rail and tech. In 2025, Belt and Road projects like high-speed trains boosted links. Without China, Thailand loses cheap imports raising prices, key export markets, tourists, 12% GDP, and investments creating jobs. Economy shrinks 20%, millions unemployed, certain collapse in trade and growth.